The Outlanders Journey. Tier 1, Level 3. Chapter 16. Laurel. You swallow ocean brine as you crash upon the heavy waves. First comes the warm pain of the impact, followed by the shock of the frigid waters, and finally the swell of exhaustion, numbing your entire body, as though you have gone for several days without food or water or proper sleep. You are losing consciousness fast. In your last moments of thought, you recognize that you will drown, and yet you have no control over your limbs. As your vision fades, you hear the traveler's laughter fade into oblivion. Someone's hand brushes upon your sleeves, Myalise sinking rapidly beneath you. You feel a sudden jolt of lucidity, and you grab her arm just in time. With every force of will you can muster, you kick up to the surface, and as your head bursts out of the water, you heave her up into the air as well. Pasted across her pale face are layers of kelp. She hacks up the water, instinctively flailing her arms. You hug her close, counting a beat to keep treading. You glance in search of anyone else around you. Another wave crashes over your head, and the two of you submerge once more. She struggles in your grasp, her nails digging into the back of your neck. The two of you tumble and spin. Your leg hits something hard, and you open your mouth to cry out. Air bubbles travel down to your chest and stomach, and you realize you are upside down. The next thing you realize, strong hands grab hold of your elbow and jerk you out. Once again, you erupt out of the water, and you see one of the orcs, Kogan was his name, you believe, hoisting you upright. He is a muscular man, with streaks of long hair and a serious gaze, identifiable mainly by his unusually sharp tusks. He grunts at you and tilts his head toward the trees. There's a rocky coastline, though still very far away. The waves continue to lap, though it's gentler in this small area. It seems he rescued you and Myali from something akin to a riptide. "Where is everyone?" you say. "Where's Bach?" Another head pops out of the water. Errol's. She's about 10 feet away from you, but she instantly spots you and paddles toward your group as she shouts for Ark. You hear paddling behind you, and you twist around to find Bach and rocks splashing around as well, to your instant relief. Gripping onto Rock's fur is Mock, kicking the water as he struggles to keep his head over the surface. Above you is the sound of softly flapping wings, and you gaze up to find Saki floating over you, staring curiously with an impish glint in her eyes from the traveler. High in the sky, Rekka scans the water and dives in. A few seconds later, a wheezing, struggling Ark is wrestled out, clinging desperately onto Rekka. Your ankle is throbbing. You likely sprained or twisted it earlier. You have almost no remaining strength, and you can tell by the worn expressions on everyone's faces that you all have very little energy left. You recall the fables of your youth, warning you of the time warp between the Feywild and the material plane. If you've truly made it back, then it's impossible to know how much time has elapsed in this world. What felt like mere hours in the Feywild likely would have been days or even weeks here, judging by everyone's exhaustion. Even if you are to reach shore, it's unlikely that anyone will have the ability to stand. You wonder if you can simply lie back and let the tides carry you to shore, but you'll likely crash into the rocks. Rekka pulls Lasha out of the water, guiding her to the other orcs, who cling to each other in order to stay afloat. Myali begins to squirm in your arms, feeling suddenly lively and alert. "Hey!" she shouts, waving at Rekka. "I have a way to get us to shore. Help me up." "What are you doing?" you say, pulling her tighter. "I have an idea." She waves at Rekka again. Hey! Rekka glides down to you, hovering overhead. What are you planning, girl? Maya Lee points at the trees along the beach. I have a spell I can use. Rekka glances at you for a moment, but without waiting for your response, he swoops down and takes her gently in his arms, and you have no power to resist. As they rise above you, Maya Lee begins to smile mischievously, clearly excited to be flying. When they're several feet overhead, you can barely see her through the ocean mists. You hear her shout, Everyone get ready! She holds her hands out, palms up, as if she's carrying a heavy, invisible object, and with great effort begins to lift her arms over her head. You initially sense a great force dragging you away from shore, the waves that were continuously lapping onto you allay. A shadow rises behind you, and you turn to find a giant tidal wave swallowing the ocean, growing. Soon, it towers over you, so tall it could touch the clouds. Maya Lee! You shout, but your voice dissipates into the roaring waters. Hold your breaths! Maya Lee commands. You gently suck in air, and you tap on Kogan to follow suit. The last thing you see is Maya Lee dropping her arms. The giant wave slams into the water with a deafening blow, and as you squeeze your eyes shut, you rise. Then, before you can make sense of what is happening, you are shunted forward. Kogan grabs onto you. You open your eyes in the water, and you see the blurry image of Errol and Bach grasping onto one another. The force of the wave is overwhelming, on the verge of crushing you. You manage to break out into the surface by sheer luck, only to find yourself so high up that you coast above the rocks, and as the wave crashes onto the sandy beach, you are flung onto the ground, with barely any time to brace. Your shoulder impacts the rough sand, and you accidentally inhale some. Kogan crashes to the ground with a thud and a loud grunt. Bach nearly slams on top of you, but he puts his hands out in time to stop the impact. Errol pulls her arms in and manages to land squarely on her feet, but her knees instantly buckle as she crumples to the ground. You reach for your wand and point it up at the remaining individuals, still plummeting from the sky. You cast Featherfall on Lasha, Dura, Mok, and 2 older orc women, and they float gently onto the sand. Everyone else hits the ground heavily, though not fatally. The foamy water under you begins to recede, leaving a pool in the shape of your body. Your ankle throbs with a dull warmth. You spot blood trickling down and staining the ground. A cold ocean breeze chills your bones. Scattered all over the beach are algae and flopping fish caught by Maya Lee's magic. This girl has become a true force of nature. Your body sinks into the almost pillowy beach. The full extent of your fatigue has set in. You've never felt this tired before. You're unable to move at all. There is no sense of movement around you. Your eyes close on their own. You hear the flapping of wings, and soft paws land on your chest. A tiny wet nose sniffs and licks your face. A meow. The last thing you hear before you fall asleep is Maya Lee calling your name, a rustle in the trees, and the snapping of twigs. When you come to, you are swaying. You're moving backward, staring down at a frozen dirt path. Lumbering footfalls crunch into the leaves and twigs. You're dangling over someone's shoulder, you realize. Someone is carrying you. To your left, on the same individual's other shoulder, is Errol, still asleep. A woven basket sits in between you two, and whatever's inside is rattling loudly. You're too tired to cry out or investigate who's holding you. They seem to have a tall, heavy-set build. All you can feel is a long, thick head of hair. It's also dark now. You can't tell if it's due to the passing hours or because you're back in the forest. Your eyelids grow heavy once more, and your head drops down. You awaken now to the sound of a quiet whispering in a language you don't understand. A small animal is scampering about, yipping. You're no longer moving, but you're still on this person's shoulder. You open your eyes. It's almost completely dark now. A tall figure stands before you, and for just a moment, you think it's Bach. In his arms, he's carrying two more individuals. Then you notice he's wearing a thick hide coat, and he has a long, braided beard. He's a furbolg. Another furbolg, just as tall, walks up to him, carrying Lasha. All around you are furbolgs. You try to call to Bach, wherever he may be. He must be ecstatic. In an instant, the exhaustion sets in once more, and you lose consciousness again. You have a dreamless, peaceful sleep, perhaps the best you've ever had in your life. When you come to, you find yourself bundled under a heap of fur blankets. The walls and ceilings are lined with more hides. Heat is emanating from a crackling fire nearby. As you stir, you hear Maya Lee's voice shout, "Laurel's awake!" Her footsteps scamper to you, and before you can prepare, you feel the impact of her body landing on top of you and the blankets. She is beaming with happiness. "We thought you died!" You groan, feeling the knots in your neck and shoulders. You attempt to sit up, but you still feel intensely weak. Where are we? "We made it to the eastern region." You rub your eyes, adjusting to the sudden influx of light and volume. You're woozy. Next to you is an empty bed. To your other side is Bach, standing over you with both a look of relief and sadness. Saki is perched on his shoulder, licking her paw and rubbing her face. A few of the orcs are chatting casually amongst themselves by a fire pit. Ark, Errol, and Rekka are gathered in Ark's bed. Books and scrolls and maps open, still dedicated to whatever objective they have for their mission. Mock and Rock are still asleep in their bed. You seem to be in a wooden cabin of some sort. The room is long and rectangular, with rows and rows of beds along the walls. A few pillars seem to support the entire structure. There are barrels and crates full of storage supplies, haphazardly shoved to one corner to make room for all of you. Your nose is a bit itchy and stuffy, likely due to the dust that has accumulated here. "I thought I remembered seeing furbolgs," you say. "Were they the ones that brought us here?" Bach nods. "The furbolgs saved us." His expression is surprisingly muted. "Someone named the Old Whisperer found us," says Maya Lee. "He knows Bach from when he was a kid. He has a pet fox, and he and the others carried us here." "Is this their home?" you ask. "This is a guest house for people like us." It takes you a moment to process everything. "So, we made it? This is it?" "We made it!" Maya Lee raises her arms in triumph. You glance at Bach, who smiles hesitantly. For all the fanfare you expected in finally reaching your destination, everything seems so anticlimactic. Hells, you were unconscious when you arrived. "So, are Mama and Papa here?" you ask. Maya Lee lowers her arms, her expression dropping. Bach shakes his head. "Mama and Papa used to live here, but not anymore. The Old Whisperer said they left a long time ago." "Oh, to where?" "The mountains." "What?" you exclaim a little too loudly. A few heads turn to you. "The Blue Forest Mountains?" "Mistra's Mountains," says Maya Lee. "The mountains that we passed by in Harrington in the southern region." You rub your temple, trying to take this all in. What would they be doing there? Bach hangs his head. He said some of the furbolgs like Mama couldn't handle the magic here. It was too strong for them, so they left for a new place. And we're sure they ended up in the mountains? That's what the old whisperer told us, says Maya Lee. Bach slumps his shoulder, exhaling a pained sigh. I'm so sorry, Bach. Bach shakes his head. I made you come all the way here, but Mama and Papa were much closer this whole time. No, I'm the one who should be sorry. I made this journey so arduous. You feel your voice begin to break, the heat rising in your eyes. I said I'd keep you both safe, and I failed. How stupid you were to believe you could bring them home without any obstacles. You put them through starvation and massacre in the Feywild. And for what? Maya Lee falls into your arms, and Bach kneels down, pulling both of you into his chest. All you can do is apologize repeatedly. You push down your tears. There's no point in burdening them with your sorrow. It's quiet outside. The winds are calm, and bits of white light are peeking through the cracks in the walls and ceiling. The old whisperer said he wants for me to stay for the winter, says Bach. It's too cold to travel, but maybe Ihi will be able to send me home when spring comes. Ihi, the archdruid? You say. She's here? He nods. We still want to meet with her? You ask Maya Lee. Maya Lee shrugs, averting her eyes. The old whisperer said he'll tell her that we're here. I see. You glance at the orcs. Does everyone get to stay? Maya Lee nods. Apparently, lots of refugees come here. Anyone who comes can build a home for themselves, and they can stay as long as they like. It's not just furbolgs either. There are drow, too. Drow? The information comes as a shock to you, and you wonder if they're the same drow that work the residuum mines, the ones who escaped their captivity. According to the newspapers, to this day, none of the drow runaways who've made it out of New Everlon have been located, as though they've disappeared. The situation was dire enough that a controversial law was passed allowing vigilantes to aid in capturing drow runaways in exchange for an enticing reward. So this is where they wound up. How funny that you and drow slaves both would go to the same place. The old whisperer says he'll introduce us to everyone tonight, says Bach. Where is he now? Getting food for us. It's almost noon. You can't help but laugh at this. I slept for a long time, didn't I? 18 hours and 22 minutes, says Maya Lee. You laugh again. I've heard about the Feywild distorting your sense of time and reality. We must have been in there for several days without realizing it. Well, I suppose we can catch up on rest if we'll be here all winter. Do you happen to know what date it is? Maya Lee puts her finger to her lips. She crawls out of your bed and rushes to the door, which you realize is just a thick curtain made of slabs of wood tied together. She pushes it aside, glancing out at the sun. After a moment, she nods to herself and rushes back, her teeth chattering from the cold, a few flakes of snow peppering her nose and bangs. You brush them aside and drape a blanket over her shoulders. It's the winter solstice in 3 days, says Maya Lee, still shivering a bit. 3 days, huh? You chuckle. My birthday is tomorrow then. Really? Says Maya Lee, eyes wide. So you'll be 20? You shrug. Doesn't feel like it, if I'm being frank. But Maya Lee doesn't seem to have heard you. She turns around, waving her arms as she shouts. Laurel's birthday is tomorrow! He's turning 20! You groan. Maya Lee. Ark smiles, wishing you an early happy birthday. Errol smiles sheepishly, nodding along with Ark. Rekka seems uninterested. After Lasha translates to the other orcs, they all rise to their feet, gathering around you and patting you forcefully on the back and shoulder. A few of the women rifle through their belongings and fish out woven trinkets and beaded necklaces. Bach hugs you again. "Happy birthday, Laurel," he mutters, almost reluctantly. You know he's disappointed about his mother and father. He's only pretending to be cheerful for you. "Thanks, everyone," you say. "But I'm not very celebratory when it comes to birthdays. I think the fact that we all made it out of the Feywild is more than enough." Elder Lasha shakes her head. 20 is an important milestone. Now that we are here, now that we have shelter for the winter, we must give you a proper commemoration. We owe you at least this much. She takes your hand, pressing it to her forehead. We hear there is more than plenty to go around in this place, this sanctuary. We thank you dearly for bringing us here. I didn't do anything. You point at Ark, Errol, and Rekka. They're the ones who got us all here. Yes, and we are grateful to them as well. But if not for you, we would still be in the Feywild. That I know for certain. I heard from Errol that you enabled our escape. You sacrificed yourself to a trickster deity in exchange for our freedom. For that, and many other reasons, we thank you. So let us celebrate with you. Lasha's face conveys genuine gratitude, as do the faces of the other orcs. Dura pulls your head in for a warm embrace. Not even a couple of months ago, they all wanted you dead. Even Bach and Maya Lee, who've been with you from the beginning, who witnessed the lies and false promises and failed assurances you told them, smile at you with a kind of admiration that you know you don't deserve. After all, you likely brought everyone to the Feywild in the first place. You are more perpetrator than savior. Laurel saved me, says Bach. He didn't have to, but he did. Everything he does is for other people. From his voice, there seems to be no inkling of deception or exaggeration. You are still sleep-deprived. You are famished. You are powerless. For these reasons, something within you breaks. Tears roll down your cheeks in large, hot, embarrassing globules. You sob and sob into everyone's arms, in front of everyone, and you are unable to hold back. Once again, all you can say is sorry. You wish so badly to be the kind of virtuous person that they seem to believe you are. You think about Elithor and what you put him through, the suffering everyone here endured because of your miscalculations. Xenos, who's still alive. There is so much you still need to do. Now that they've made it here, you still have so much to make right.